Larry, I would love to hear a little bit about you, your childhood, your start, where you grew up.
Sure. I grew up in New York, in Brooklyn. Parents, were relatively recent immigrants and stuff, and their aspiration for their children was to get a civil service job and get a pension and retire and do all of that stuff. Basically live safely. I, for whatever reason, didn't really pay attention to it. So I was actually the first kid to ever go to college in the family.
Wow.
And I graduated and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. So I took what I thought was going to be kind of a temporary job, literally working under the streets of Manhattan in New York, putting the cables together, and they paid me $90 a week. And but it was very fortunate because the Time Incorporated, before it became a media company, before Time Warner, was a publishing company, and they decided they wanted to, move to become more of a media company. So I got put into what was called the video group, and I was a good interface between, all the Harvard and Yale guys and the folks who worked underground, who barely had high school degrees. So I kind of became the translator. And it was a great place to be because we really started urban cable and we started HBO and Cinemax and, all of those things. And I ended up getting recruited. All the big cities in the US wanted to start bringing cable, but they wanted the cables to go under the ground as opposed to on telephone poles. Well, the only one who ever built an underground cable system was me, so at the ripe old age of 30, I got recruited to come to Los Angeles to build what was the first two-way interactive 61 channel cable system. And, of course, Brooklyn kid comes out to LA and, all your friends are going to movies and parties and premieres and stuff like that. So, I called the studios and said, hey, put me on the list. And they went, well, you're like a telephone company, you're not in the entertainment business. I said, okay. I said, the only time I ever see a movie trailer is when I'm in the movies. And it's typically the best 2 minutes of a movie. I said, wouldn't you want to show that to people when they're in their home so that make them want to go to the movies?
Wow.
And they were like, yeah, but it's really expensive. I said, tell you what, you send me the trailers, I'll put them on TV and you invite me to all those things. And they said, yeah, okay, that's fine. So, I hired a kid for, I think, $3 an hour, and he edited the trailers, together we made a 1 hour loop. And when we started doing polling and saying, what's your favorite channel? People say, oh, I love MTV, I love CNN, I love that trailer channel. Yeah, and I was going, that's really interesting. And then the company I worked for was a Canadian company. They sold out and went back to Canada. And they wanted me to go to Toronto. And I said, whoa. I didn't go from Brooklyn to LA to go to Toronto. So my friend Alan and I were just kicking around ideas one day saying, okay, what do we do? And he was going, oh, I've always thought of doing MTV at the movies. I said, wait a second. I said, I get all those trailers, which essentially instead of, turning to a green screen and saying, and Madonna has a new video, we could have a host turn to the green screen and say, and Schwarzenegger has a new movie. So we came up with that idea, and then we expanded it to make it, everything that was on at the time was, in half hour, they would give movies and stuff, 20 seconds of coverage and, not really a lot of in-depth stuff or behind the scenes stuff. And so, we put this together and we thought it was brilliant. And, at that time, people were, the cost to start a TV network then was somewhere between 60 and 100 million US. And we spent 3.5 years and we realized nobody's giving us 60 to 100 million dollars. And everybody said, listen, people don't wake up and decide to start TV networks. Nobody's ever done it. It's never going to be done unless you're Time Warner or, one of the big Ted Turner or one of the big companies.
Unless you're Larry Namer.
It can't be done. And, So after 3.5 years, somebody introduced us to a banker on Wall Street who just got this job in banking. And, we went to his office, and he had movie posters on the wall. And Alan and I just kind of looked at each other and go, this is weird. And he goes, I love this idea. I used to be the entertainment reporter in my college newspaper, and I'm going to give you money. And I was like, great. I said, could you make it more like the 100 million than the 60 million? He goes, oh, no. I'm only allowed to sign for 2.5. And I said, well, what am I supposed to do with $2.5 million? It costs like 60.
Yes.
And he goes, well, I'm only allowed to sign for it. And Alan and I said, you know what? We'll take the 2.5. We'll figure it out.
Yes.
So I had a friend who was teaching radio, television, film at University of Texas in Austin. I called him up, said, you got any kids that want intern jobs? And he sent us 31 interns. So he actually started with 11 employees and 31 interns.
Wow.
And as soon as we went on the air, everybody went, oh God, why didn't you tell us that's what you wanted to do? We would have given you that money years ago.
Oh yeah, of course.
People couldn't, we had this very different attitude to it. People were treating like Hollywood like it's serious biz, like it's rocket science or something. And we were just very irreverent. You were going, the Hollywood world is funny, yes, and, don't try and make it more than it is. And, if you look at some of the early shows that we did, like Talk Soup, when I went to our team with it, they said, wait a second. They said, Larry, you want to do a TV show that makes fun of TV shows? And I'm going, yeah, exactly. And they were like, that's crazy. I go, just let's try it. And we tried it. That show went 26 years. Just crazy. And then, we found Howard Stern, and, I said, okay, I got another idea. I want to put cameras in this guy's radio studio. And they were like, Larry, radio died, 40 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but this is like a sitcom. I said, there's characters. I said, it's funny. And they did it. And Howard obviously went on to do pretty well. Yeah. And then we just started doing, E! Hollywood True Story and Wild on E! But again, it was all with that sensibility that don't try and make Hollywood be much more scientific than it really is. And it poked fun at everything. And it was good. It was fun.
I love the rawness and your start. I mean, who would have thought it was born with interns? And
yeah,
it's amazing. And your thinking is so outside the box. I love the Wall Street story too. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and one of the funniest stories there is we applied for credentials to cover the Oscars, press credentials, and they turned us down. And they went, oh, you're just some little cable network. No. And so literally we climbed over the fence and snuck into the Oscars, or on the red carpet filming when finally security caught up with us. But when we showed the footage,
wow,
the audience was like crazy. They're going, this is amazing. It looks like you took us someplace we're not supposed to be. And I'm like, yeah, we did. And it kind of just proved our thing that people wanted genuine authenticity and not so tell us about your next movie. They've seen that over and over. We just took a whole different way of going after it.